Hi guys, welcome back to the Frenemies podcast with Meg and Rad. I am Meg and she is Rad.
Well, I guess I'm Rad today. But I am Meg and she's Rad. Today we are talking about our childhood. How was it growing up in Bombay versus growing up in Delhi? And also growing up as a single child. She is a single child and I have two siblings. So we're going to talk about how it was.
Yep, this is not going to be one of those Delhi versus Bombay, which one is better as a city and which one you should live in, because that's obviously super subjective.
Yeah, and it's overdone.
Yeah, and it's overdone. We get it. One is clearly better. But,
Well, where we are right now is clearly better.
we are just going to be talking about our childhoods and, just like certain issues we faced or just what growing up was like for us to be where we are today.
Don't you think any human being is what they are because of the condition that we had?
Yeah.
Like the way we have grown up, the way we have been brought up.
Yeah.
That's how you are, like how you are today, and
Yeah.
that's how I am today.
Yeah.
Like if anyone talks about my simplicity, or they talk about, I love the compliment I get a lot of times saying, "Oh, you have such a great heart." I am the way I am is because how I have been brought up.
Yeah. I always say that people are who they are because and despite of their circumstances and what they choose to do with it.
Yeah, and how they have lived. They have, like, I've had my share of hardships, and I've had my share of problems. I have my share of good things and bad things that I've faced in my life. And I've had a great childhood. I haven't really spoken about this ever at all, but I have lived in an apartment which is like a one-room kitchen apartment.
Yeah, I know.
And we are 5 of us. I have 2 siblings. I have 2 sisters. One is older than me and one is younger than me, and my parents. So we have always done things together because we've lived in such a small space.
Yeah.
We've lived in like a 500 square feet apartment.
Oh my god.
Where you are just on to each other all the
I
time.
got goosebumps when you said that.
You're on to each other all the time. Like we had this double bed where me and my sister slept, and my parents, they had a gaddi niche and they used to sleep on that. And we've always, like, anything that happened, everyone knew about things because it's happening right there.
Yeah.
Like if you want to use the washroom, there's one washroom and everyone is sharing and doing things.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like even the work that we did at home, because we could not afford a help, everything was divided. We've been brought up in a way where Meghna अगर झाड़ू करेगी तो निहार का पोछा करेगी, मम्मी ने खाना बनाया तो सादी बर्तन करेगी. So everyone had their own share of duties that you have to do, and if you didn't do it, you wouldn't get like a sweet at the end of the night. So if you don't do it, you won't get it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's how you value things also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if anything was available to you so easily, you would not value those things.
Yeah.
So it was always like, अगर तुमने नहीं किया तो नहीं होगा types.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the way I've been brought up, and everything was like fights, whatever. Anything that happened, if I am fighting with Sadhvi or Niharika, it always used to be like, also because I was like a middle child.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what was it like growing up as a middle child?
Because a lot of things that people are like, छोटी बहन, अगर बड़ी बहन होती है, छोटी बहन होती है, तो छोटी बहन को हमेशा hand me downs मिलते हैं. तो वैसा मेरे साथ बहुत दोनों टाइम हुआ, because I used to get Sadhvi's things and I used to give my things to Niharika.
Yeah.
So I was that child where anything that happened, if I did something wrong to Sadhvi, my mother was like, वो तेरी बड़ी बहन है तो तुम ऐसे बात नहीं कर सकते उससे. The same thing Niharika did would come to me, where it was always like I lived the best of both worlds. Like I had to respect Sadhvi.
Yeah.
Also I could just be the way I am with Niharika because she's the younger one. I was like, तू छोटी है, तुझे क्या पता, तू छोटी है. So that's what Sadhvi used to do to me and I used to do to Niharika. So I always had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. अगर नहीं किया तो हमें डांट पड़ती थी, मार पड़ती थी, झाड़ू से, बेल्ट से, चप्पल से मार पड़ी है.
Is it even legal to say this?
I think everyone as a kid has
Even I've gotten lots.
And we were so scared. Every time we did something wrong, we were like, fuck, आज तो मार पड़ने वाली है times.
Yeah.
तो ऐसा बहुत बार होता था कि नहीं, चीज़ें नहीं मिलेगी तुमने नहीं किया तो. अगर छोटी छोटी चीज़ें, कभी मिठाई बन रही है, कभी गाजर का हलवा रोज़ नहीं बनता था.
Yeah.
लेकिन अगर तुम कुछ अच्छे एग्जाम्स में मार्क्स लाओगे तो तुम्हें मिलेगा टाइप्स. अगर तुम अच्छी ग्रेड लाओगे तो तुम्हें साइकिल मिलेगी, वरना नहीं मिलेगी, तो तुम और हार्ड वर्क करो. So that's how I am right now. Like I'll take care of things because I have been taught that way. वरना तुम्हें easily नहीं मिलेगा. चीजें अगर अभी भी मिल रही है तुम्हारी लाइफ में तो तुम्हें मेहनत करके ही मिलेगी, वरना नहीं होगा. So that's what used to happen. And I was literally thinking about how we believed in this Baba ji. And हमें सिमरन करनी होती थी रात को.
What's a simran?
Like pray to God sort of thing, where every night you just be thankful for the life you have, and then you have to say that.
Do you still do simran?
No, I don't. And I was thinking how it feels like a lifetime ago. So,
but now your beliefs have clearly changed.
Yeah.
So, like, what was the transition like going from that to now?
I have no idea when it changed. It's also because that time I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't have a job. I didn't have things to do.
Well, some people think we still don't have a job. So, you know.
So I think I just transitioned after a while where I started working, and then I realized that I have bigger responsibilities. And they were quite okay with that because I have to work for us to have a roof over the head. So they won't be like, ab karna padega, ye karna padega. Because you realize the circumstance that you have to do a few things that you have to do. So I don't remember when I transitioned, but I remember how my childhood was. But ऐसा हुआ करता था कि नहीं. So that's why but we had our fair share of fights. We used to, because you're always into each other's space.
I can't even imagine what that would be like because I grew up with no siblings at all. I grew up as a single child, which I think is possibly the worst thing to do to a child. I think growing up as a single child, and even though as a kid, probably in the moment I didn't understand the long-term effects of growing up as a single child, but it made me such a I don't know, like it made me a person who wants company all the time because I don't have it because I grew up so lonely. So I feel like my earliest memories of wanting people to always be there was I used to have this friend in my building and I used to like almost bribe her, being like, listen,
spend time with me.
Yeah, spend time with me. You know what? My mom's gonna cook palak paneer, which you love, and just like have it. And sometimes her parents would be like, even though we lived in the same like apartment complex, her parents, because we're obviously younger, I'm talking like 9 years of age or something, and I remember her parents used to be like, how are you gonna come back from Radhika's apartment to ours? And I, also being a 9-year-old, was like, I'll drop her, I'll do anything, just like let her be with me. I was so, like, I just remember growing up so lonely because when you don't have a sibling and you have like, you know, parents who are either working or unavailable due to other reasons, it's just such a weird feeling. So I can't even imagine what the opposite of that would be like, but people are always in your space.
Yeah, they're always in the space and you're like fighting all the time or yelling at each other and you're like, जा ना अपना काम कर, तू अपनी जगह जा अपना, and they're always like कि क्या कर रही है, क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, क्या खाओगे, क्या खाओगे, क्या करोगे, क्या करोगे, and you're just like, which is also a great thing, and I love the way, I miss it. Like I don't live with my family right now. My mom is like, क्या खाना. That time we did not think of it that way, but now you just miss it. When you're like, if you're sick or anything, you're like, mama hoti thi, mummy हमेशा बोलती थी कि नहीं. And my mother, the kind of, you have met my parents. My mother is the kind of person, अगर हमने रात को 3 बजे भी उठ के बोला कि मम्मा भूख लग रही है, मम्मी 3 बजे उठ के रोटी बना देती थी. Like my dad, they were always there, they were always available. वो कुछ भी हो, तुम्हारे आज स्कूल में टीचर ने बुलाया, रिजल्ट्स आ रहे, my parents, one of them would always be there. So that was amazing, and I've heard so many stories of parents not being available, and that's what I say, like,
no, my parents that way were very hyper available. Like my mom was, my dad wasn't, but my mom would attend every PTA meeting, and that was like the most dreadful day of my life because every PTA meeting was the same. She has so much potential if only she used it in the right direction, you know. She's such a smart kid, but she's not getting these good grades and, you know, stuff like that. And I mean, also that's a completely different topic, but I also think that's what's flawed with our education system, where we think potential has to be used in this one way and one way only. If you don't use it this way, then you're doing something wrong.
तो वैसे book का कीड़ा बनो, रटो और लिखो.
And I just remember my mom going to these, and like, I remember सारी teachers से मिलना होता था जा के. So first you used to meet your class teacher and then you used to meet everyone else. And we used to meet everyone. Okay, most people would meet their class teacher and be like, this is the report, this is what this person is doing, this one incident happened, blah, blah, blah. Go home. My mother would meet every single teacher, from my dance teacher to my, this thing, what's that? Home science? Yeah, home science teacher. Every single one of
Subject I didn't have only. Growing up with like SSC board, you didn't have all of this.
I had to pick home science because in my school you didn't like the batch before mine started humanities. They didn't have it. So option ही नहीं है. मतलब doctor बनो, engineer बनो, accountant बनो, कुछ और नहीं बन सकते. So like students protested and then it became a thing.
Yeah.
And I had home science as a subject because they did not have like sociology or psychology, any of those subjects. And the home science teacher was available to do it, so that became a subject. My mother would meet everyone and she would just have this like sad expression going from one place to another, like hoping that there would be one teacher who would say something amazing about me. And I think that was only like my history teacher who loved me, who would say nice things, and I would take my mom to her the last. I would just be like,
just because I have to go home after this.
इसके बाद घर जाना. और मुझे पता है वो पूरी रिक्शा राइड बस हम दोनों ऐसे बैठे होते थे और ऐसे it was just so awkward, and I knew that घर जाके I am going to get it. I am just gonna get it from her.
I never liked going to school. Like
I hated it.
I hated it, and I'm so glad that it's done. I used to hate coming back from school and then वापस खाओ और फिर ट्यूशन जाओ और वापस पढ़ाई करो. I didn't like it at all. I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped studying after 12th. My dad told me, and I was not good at studies, and I was like, this is not something that I want to do. So I told my dad, he's like, तू क्यों पैसे वेस्ट कर रही है? तुझे नहीं करना तो छोड़ दे. And I was like, अगर मैं पहले बोल देती
तो क्या 9th के बाद छोड़ दिया? मेघना को उसके बाद कुछ नहीं पता है.
नहीं, तो I was like, ठीक है. And then he's like, क्यों कर रही है? नहीं करना तो मत करो. And because he's working so hard, my dad he has never had anything to himself. Like he shops once in 3 years. He used to shop once in 3 years, but he always made sure that Diwali पे मेघना निहार का साथ भी मम्मी को कपड़े मिले. We used to get same things, and he's always been like this. Even right now, like I tell him, let's go out, let's go to a restaurant, let's eat. He's like, नहीं, मुझे नहीं पसंद है बाहर का खाना, मुझे दाल चावल खाना पसंद है.
Yeah, your dad is like a really simple man.
तो he's like, क्यों करना है पैसे पे बात? ऐसे क्यों आप पैसे के बारे में बात करते हो? मुझे नहीं पसंद है ऐसा बात करना.
I think money is just such a triggering topic even for me. Where it's Meghna and I both have this thing. If we borrowed money even from each other, it's like we can't breathe. We can't even enjoy a meal.
Sorry, like I'm gonna give you. I'll give you this week.
Yeah.
We constantly, and we are just like, bro, relax.
The other person is always like, chill, like pay it back whenever you have it. Like it's fine. I'll let you know if I really need it. And the other one's like, no, I'm so sorry. Like I feel like they can't even enjoy a meal if we owe money to someone.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it was just such a triggering topic growing up for both of us in like completely different ways.
Yeah, like a lot of times we didn't do things because my parents would always be like, नहीं तुम कर लो. They would just work harder and be like, नहीं हमें ज़रूरत नहीं है हमें. Like I think this is what happens with a lot of people who've grown up middle class. My parents, you know how our parents are. They'll just be like कि तुम खुश रहो हम तो like they'll be like नहीं we are happy.
I remember even when like twice in a month I would, you know how much I love mutton keema. Like it's my weakness, and I remember it would be made twice a month on a Sunday, and it used to be that whatever 1 kg used to get made, and me, mom and dad used to have it, and then they used to have like little portions, and then they would be like, no, you eat it at night also and then tomorrow also, because I know how much you like it. And they would have like little bit and keep leaving it for me, and just like the little things like that, I feel like have just shaped us as people.
Because you've learned that the hard way, like this is what it's supposed to be. And because even right now, if we share anything that we have, whatever little that we have, and we share, we're just like, I know that you like it. I would keep it for you, because even right now, if there's anything, if she makes something at her house and she knows that I love dhokla, she'll be like, नहीं दीदी मेघना के लिए भी रख लो, उसे पसंद है ढोकला. उससे मैंने बोला भी नहीं होगा मेरा मन नहीं आज खाने का. But it's the way we are, because we grown up that way.
Yeah, like literally I just ordered like plates from Amazon and I think I've ordered like 400 plates for my party.
Did it purposely.
and then Meghna's like, why? I was like, you're also going to throw a party at some point, right? So it'll get used. Like, it's not a scene.
Tell me about how it was with, like, how you used to spend your days.
I don't even remember. I mean, I hated going to school. It was just the most traumatic experience for me, and I was not bullied. I don't think anyone had it in them to bully me.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was one of those children who was just blacklisted in school, and for things like talking to seniors, dating a boy.
You were a rebel.
Yeah, I was a full-on rebel. I was one of those people, and because I was somebody who questioned a lot in class, I was just like, okay, but why?
You're also like a very curious person. You're always like, why, what, when, how?
Yeah, I need to know why. If you're telling me to do a certain something, give me an answering to it. And just because I said so cannot be the correct answer. So I was just one of those people growing up, and I used to like miss my school bus. I had a phone on me. Still, yeah. I used to like sneak a phone in, and I'm not saying these are correct things to do, but it's not like I was like doing something that was so bad that you would blacklist a child. And it really got to a point of, and I remember this is 7th grade I'm talking, when I am 13. It got to a point where teachers were making announcements in class saying, if I see anyone hanging out with Radhika Seth, I'm going to call up your parents. And all my friends stopped hanging out with me.
Because they were scared that
and call up and say, oh, your kid is in the wrong sangati and stuff like that. And I remember my 7th grade class teacher, who I'm not going to name, whose name I very much remember, but she made this rule where, so our school didn't have a canteen. It had like an ice cream shop where you could go, and everybody in the lunch break, after they were done eating from their tiffins, if they wanted to, they would go to the ice cream parlor and everyone would hang out and you'd buy an ice cream and stand there. Everyone was allowed to go except for me. So I used to sit in my seat, and I was...
Why were you not, like, you're not allowed to eat?
I was not, I had my tiffin. I could eat from that, but I was not allowed to go out to the ice cream parlor because they were, I don't know what they thought I was doing, okay? But I was just not allowed to do it. They were just afraid of me, I feel. And our class was the one that overlooked it from a window. So I would look down, I would look at all these happy people, and I would cry, okay? I would be sitting there crying, and once or twice, people have gone up to my class teacher being like, Radhika is crying, and she'd just be like, yeah, whatever. And this is, please understand, this is like 40-year-old people in charge. In charge of handling children, doing this to a 13-year-old whose personality and brain is still developing.
She was just sad with her life.
Yeah, and she had a daughter who was in my class as well. So and I still remember, one more incident which I remember, because these incidents are very fresh in my brain and I think they really have shaped the way I think. There was this one time I was hanging out with a teacher's daughter, and I was just like on the same floor talking to her. Her mother, who was a teacher, has come, grabbed her like this, said, what are you doing with her, and taken her. If you really think about it, these are extremely fucked up things to do to 13, 14-year-old children. Like, imagine what that child would have felt in that moment where they're like, what did I do so wrong?
I think that's
why
what
are people
happens
not
with
allowed
a lot
to
of
talk?
people even right now, but people don't address it.
Yeah.
And that should be addressed, because you can't bully people like that. It's in a way the teacher was bullying
That's
you.
what I said to. So I would go to my principal and I would be like, my teachers are socially isolating me. This is not okay. And my principal would be like, I'd look into it. Nothing would change. And I spent years living like this to a point where if my attendance was say a 90% and 80%, it dropped down to a 70, to a 40. Till like the 12th grade, it was probably at like a 10%. I was not attending classes. I was not okay going in this environment where everybody was not allowed to talk to me, where I was the bad person, where teachers would whisper every time I would come in. And I just don't get it. I feel like teachers these days are not like equipped to deal with the responsibility they have, not just repeating what's written in a book, but actually, like dealing with children.
Yeah, like what's happening in the real world and how the brain actually works and how a human being can feel.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have subjects like we'll talk about more about mental health and how a person just keep yourself in other person's shoes and feel like what if that happens to you and how would you feel about it.
And so I didn't go to school a lot. I remember I would, wake up at a certain time. I would, if I've not gone to school, just like chill, watch something. And it got to a point where really my parents had also started giving up on me going to school. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm just not going. So if I wasn't going to school, I would watch something, I would read a book, I would walk around, I'd go to someone in my building, like I'd go to their house, I would hang out with them. Then I'd have my tuitions in the evening for eco. Horrible experiences. Hate the economics they teach in school. And I'd go to that. I would eat momos. After every tuition, I would eat these 30 rupee momos. They would give 10 pieces.
Yeah.
Bro, they were the best momos I've ever had in my life.
How much pocket money you used to get?
I don't think I got pocket money, but I think it was somewhere around like 50 to 100 a day type.
Oh, I used to get 10 rupees a day. Of course, they couldn't afford to give me more than that. But
now I'm thinking, was mine that much?
I used to get 10 rupees a day sometimes, and even that I used to get when there was no lunch made, like if I didn't get a tiffin. So I could have like a vada pav or whatever.
Yeah. But mine was
I
always...
had a canteen in the school.
You had a canteen.
Yeah, I had a canteen
didn't.
school. I used to get like really amazing cutlet. I don't know if you know. There's like a triangle thing that you used to get.
Yeah.
So that we used to get. But yeah, when you spoke about phone in school, I was thinking the first phone that I had was in 11th grade. And in Bombay, you have 11th grade is college for you. 11th, 12th is school in Delhi.
for me, yeah.
So for
CBSE board.
yeah, it's junior college and then senior college for
Yeah.
us. So 11th was the first time where you can wear civil and then go to college because you had uniforms in 11th.
Yeah, we had uniforms
we had civil
throughout.
and
What is civil?
Like normal clothes.
Like you can go like this.
Yeah, you can go like this.
What do you mean?
In 11th grade, you can wear whatever you want in college.
So you could look all cute while I looked like shit in 11th and 12th.
And
No wonder I didn't attend college
and I
at
was
school.
the kind of person who was not good at studies. I used to just dress up cute, and I remember when I was just like, go to the school, go to the college, and once I was in the washroom and this girl came to me and she's like, "You're in my class, right?" I was like, "Which class are you?" I was like, if I can't be smart at studies, I have to be good in one way.
And good looking is what we chose.
Yeah, it's good looking. We made a career out of it,
yeah.
So, I was like, But like, I think it changed after a while, but it also because of the things that you get in your life. Like, I had a beautiful childhood. I wouldn't change that for anything. Like, I have some great memories. I wouldn't change that for anything. But the one thing that I didn't like was the way we lived. And I wanted like a better life for my family and my sisters in general. Where I was like, we have to be, like, we have to have our own space. For the longest time, I think till my college also we lived in the same apartment.
Yeah, I think so.
I was not earning.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is not the life that we want. And after that, we moved to a 1 BHK where we had our own rooms. And my parents still lived in the hall.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after a while, things just changed. And now I'm just like, I'm so grateful for the thing because I aimed so high in my life. And I was like, this is the life I want for my family. And everything, like anything, even right now, my parents are like, because they are still they come from a mentality where they're still...
Same with my mom.
And she's like, 3,000 rupees. I was like, Mama, I 3,000 blink karke kharch kar deti hu.
That's the same. My mom yesterday, she's at home by the way, she's in another room. I'm pretty sure she can hear all of this, which is also what's stressing me out. But yesterday I told my mom, okay, I have an event to go to, just take like my credit card and go shopping. My mom's like, this is a very expensive dress, so 3,800. And I'm just like, huh? What is happening over here? And then she's like, I had a coffee. It was 290 rupees plus tax.
And they usually talk about, and also my mom is Sindhi. So she comes from a mindset with, बहुत महंगा हो गया यार, बहुत महंगा हो गया. No matter what. Now I think they have also been in a way where
conditioned.
They have also been conditioned in a way where now even right now I'm like, Mama, please.
Yeah, that's what the same thing I say.
Please.
And my mom's like, I did a lot of shopping. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, sure. And she's tiny bags. And like ये मैं इससे ज़्यादा तो मैं ज़ारा जाती हूँ और मुझे अगर ज़ारा नहीं भी जाना होता मैं उधर हेयर कट के लिए गई होती हूँ उस मॉल में तभी मैं उससे ज़्यादा उठा लेती हूँ वापस आते हुए.
Like my dad is still the same. Even right now, if he has to, he's 73 by the way. But even right now, if he has to go somewhere, he's like, metro ले लेता हूँ, जल्दी पहुँच जाऊँगा.
Bro, you don't get it. My mother. So I'm so sorry to cut you off. My mother has just told me that my father is still going from Bombay to Delhi in a train. Bombay to Delhi in a train. She's like he finds it very comfortable. How is it comfortable to sit or sleep or do whatever for 12, 15 hours?
That's why I'm just like, even I don't know why they are like that.
It's annoying.
And I'm just like, अब पापा क्यों करने पैसे खर्च? I was like, मैं दे रही हूँ.
That's what I say.
ले लो.
That's what I say.
पैसे के बारे में बात मत किया करो. मुझे नहीं पसंद. मैं इतनी अच्छी लाइफ जीती हूँ.
Oh
मैं चाहती हूँ आप भी इतनी अच्छी लाइफ जियो.
Same. Every time my mom would also ask me something about money, I'm like, I worked very hard to get here. Please do not. It's triggering me. It is taking me back to my childhood memories. Do not do this to me right now. I will figure it out. You just.
Yeah. चले नहीं तू इतना कर रही है. तूने रेंट भी दिया. तूने ये भी दिया. तू घर खर्चा भी दे रही. ऐसे मम्मा यार मैं कर लूँगी. ऐसे मैं लोन ले लूँगी. तुम ट्रेन में मत जाओ. अरे क्यों करना ऐसा? ऐसे मत करो. So even right now because they are from the older generation and my parents are actually like I also have an older sister who's like 35 now. So they are like, my dad is like born in the 1952. He's born in 1952. Like आज़ादी के बाद साल बाद. तो imagine it feels like I don't know. A lifetime ago. So even he is like I love him so much.
I know.
The way
he's
he
the
talks,
cutest.
I was like, and the way he'll be like, sometimes I get mad at my mother when she think नहीं हो जाएगा तब क्यों कर रही है. My father will be like very प्यार से he'll tell me कि क्यों करना है बेटा तू इतनी मेहनत करती है. I was like मैं देखो कैसे जी रही हूँ. मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप भी वैसे जियो. That's so funny. He's like नहीं. I was like, Papa, I'll literally tell my parents, I actually just live for them. I was like, if anything happens to you, I don't know how I will live with myself. I was like, everything I do in my life, I was like, I do it for you. I don't know what will I do with the money that I have after that. I was like, I complain about, I was like, मुझे ये करना पड़ता है, मुझे ये करना पड़ता है, मुझे वो करना पड़ता है. But then I was like, अगर ये नहीं करना पड़े तो मैं क्या करूँगी पैसों का?
Yeah. But tell me, what was it like growing up in Bombay? Like, what effect did it have on you culturally? What was it like?
It was so much more safer. And I remember the first time I went to Delhi was when I was 14 or 15 because my dad's family lives in Delhi, and I was wearing shorts. And I'd colored my hair. I'm like a 15-year-old. I think 15-year-old is in 11th grade in college.
No. In like 17-year-old, no?
Okay. So I was like 16, 17 when I went to Delhi for the first time. I've colored my hair. I don't know what. I still remember I was looking so bad in it. And I was wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And my baby, I was going out somewhere and baby was like, ऐसे allowed नहीं है.
Your baby?
Baby. My
Baby?
My grandma, my dad's mother, my baby. So she was like, ये allowed नहीं है यहाँ पे. I was like, shorts पहनना allowed नहीं. Or it was like 50 degrees outside. I was sitting on the bike and I was sweating. I still remember it very clearly. I was wearing those pink shorts. And she's like, ये allowed नहीं है. I was so confused. I was like, मैं कैसे घूमती हूँ बॉम्बे में? Allowed कैसे नहीं है?
Delhi versus Bombay in that way was so different.
And how is it growing up in Delhi?
I remember Delhi being really, really, really unsafe. It feeling very unsafe. And I'm not trying to, defame the city and trying to say, oh, it is unsafe for everybody. But it's what it felt like to me. And I moved from Delhi to Bombay 9 years ago now. And
clearly you're a Bombay girl now.
I'm honestly, I know I'm a Bombay girl. Yeah. I breathe Bombay. I love Bombay. I haven't been to Delhi in the last 2 years.
Yeah, she doesn't like going to Delhi. She just feels it's very unsafe.
I just have had really bad experiences even growing up. It was one of those things where you had to wear jeans or you had to wear a t-shirt or a fully covered top. You couldn't have any real jewelry on. You had to not be holding your phone on like the side of the road facing the road, or it could be stolen. You shouldn't be wearing a purse. You shouldn't be, there were all these things that were just so you can't put so many conditions to someone and then be like, oh, now go have fun.
Yeah.
Because then you're always living a very cautious life. Yeah.
Subconsciously that, oh my God, this might happen.
And this has happened to so like this has happened to me, this has happened to my mother, this has happened to my grandmother, this has happened to people I know, where their phones have been stolen when they're walking. And also, I just want to say, I grew up in Rohini, so that's a northwest Delhi part. It's not your South Delhis of the world.
It's very
GK.
different than
It is very different. It's a different kind of people and a different class of people in that sense. But I just remember it feeling so strange because I was always a curious person. I was like, acha, but why? If guys can wear it, why can't I wear it? If you feel safe going out at night, why can't I feel safe going out at night? What is wrong with these things? You know? And it was a point where I never went to a bar or a club in Delhi till whatever. I was only there till 18, but you know, people go out clubbing at the age of 16 or whatever, and I never went. My first club or bar that I ever entered was in Bombay. Because I was just so scared of what it would be like.
It's just like, even right now, I feel like I like Delhi now when I go there. It's also because the kind of friends that I have, I'm always very secure because we are always going in a car or you go to a
But
place.
this has happened to me a couple of years ago where my car was chased in South Delhi. It was chased by guys. It was chased by 2 cars. I assume they were friends in both those cars, and these guys were coming out of their window like trying to like touch my car or stop my car, and it reached a point where my driver had to really take like an off route and go. And yeah, that was just such a weird and scary feeling for me. Even I've had multiple multiple experiences, multiple
incidents.
I've had multiple incidents where my mom and I are walking and she's walking me to a market and her chain has been stolen off of her neck, and it was a very, now that I know the price of gold and stuff, it was a very thin chain. It would probably cost like, I say 20,000 bucks tops,
But the trauma that she must have gone through.
and this person has just taken it from her to the point where her kurta or top or whatever is torn. So she had to walk like that, holding her top up. And just growing up with these fears is very. It didn't make me love the city.
Yeah, it'll scar you because also you were a kid.
Yeah, and my grandmom, who was at the age, you know, she's in her, I think, 80s now, but I'm
Probably
saying
like
she was probably in her
70s,
70s or late 60s at the time. And she, so many times, like Delhi mein you have those other rickshaws, the cycle wala rickshaws. So she would always be traveling in that, and she was actually an LIC agent. So she would go from place to place, house to house, you know, selling insurance, and she never wanted to stop working. Like my dad and everyone was like, no, you're very old now, just stop. And she would not listen. She had her one rickshaw driver who she used to keep, and she has had tens of incidents where like people have come and she used to hold her purse like over here, जिसमें insurance होता था, कभी किसी ने पैसे दिए वो होता था, and people used to, and she used to wear sari. People used to hit her on the thigh so that she would get scared and leave her purse, and then they would snatch that purse. Imagine doing that to a 70-year-old woman.
It just makes me angry.
Yeah, it makes me so like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And so many times I was with her because she used to take me to this market to buy me my favorite pastry. And this has happened in front of me. And you can't chase them. They're on a bike. You're on a cycle-y thing. You can't yell. The cops, at least back in the day, couldn't care less. And we've all filed these reports and they've never gone anywhere. So I remember growing up in Delhi just so scared of always stepping out, so scared of going anywhere. And when I reached the age of 16, I never went out without a car. I couldn't. I was scared. I thought someone's gonna Eve tease me or, you know, like touch me or steal something from me or hit me. Like, it just felt like one of those things where I didn't love it.
Yeah, of course. Also the area that I grew up in, Bombay is so much more safer.
Yeah.
But the area I grew up in, it was like not a good area. So I can't really use, like, also the area in Kandivali was not like a Charkop, was not a good area that time. And I could not be out after 8.
Yeah, same.
If I was out
unthinkable.
I couldn't be out after 8 p.m. and like if I was at a birthday party or anything, my dad came to pick me. I was like, why are you coming to pick me? I can just come home. But now when I think of it, it was for my safety. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what would have happened then. And it's just scary to think about it. How even in Bombay, a lot of times what I used to travel in a rickshaw a lot. And so many times, also a great thing is, 3 times, this happened 3 times in my life where I was in a rickshaw and someone just snatched the phone.
What?
They've snatched
This has happened in Bombay?
Yeah.
So it's also a Bombay thing.
Yeah, well, it depends on people to people. As in, there are people like this everywhere.
Yeah.
This happened with me in the last 3-4 years. And the first time someone snatched my phone.
Oh, I remember this.
And I was like, what do I do in this panicky situation? I have just taken the rickshawala's phone and I was like, let me call my phone, because this guy would not know how to switch the iPhone off. He's not known how to switch the iPhone. He's thrown the phone somewhere apparently near some gym. Some guy has picked it up saying, क्या ये आपका phone है या gym के बाहर पड़ा है? I've gotten the phone.
That's insane. You have the best luck I have ever heard.
Listen, the second time the same thing happened with me, where someone has snatched the phone, and they have done the same thing. The third time I left the phone in a rickshaw. It was an Uber rickshaw, luckily. So I left the phone. This guy was the sweetest rickshaw guy ever. He's like, मैम मैं बैंड्रा में हूँ, हाँ आपका फ़ोन आप रिक्शा में भूल गए हो, प्लीज़ मुझे थोड़ा टाइम दे दो, मेरे पास कस्टमर है, मैं आके दे दूँगा. I was like, he came back. I was like, I gave him 500. I was like, रख लो. I was like, नहीं दीदी ऐसा मत करो, मुझे ये आपका फ़ोन है, आप रख लो, मैं कभी ऐसा नहीं करूँगा. I was like, I've just been very lucky in a way like that. Once I had a bag situation in the rickshaw and someone asked,
why are you such a bhulakkar at this point?
They have just snatched it out.
Okay.
So I remember I got this new Tommy Hilfiger bag, which I was damn excited about. Do you remember the scene?
Yeah.
It happened in Andheri when I was going to meet Tadhan once.
Yeah.
And luckily, I have reached that gully. I hate that gully, even right in the Shastri Nagar gully, because this has happened with me.
I hate it also, I used to live there.
So this guy snatched my bag, and luckily I've called Siddhant and I was like, hey, I have reached the building, and removed the phone from the bag. So in the bag he snatched, my phone was in my hand. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And I've given him so many galis. Tujhe ye ho jaye, wo ho jaye. I told my dad. And my dad being my dad, he was like,
किसी के लिए बुरा wish नहीं करते.
He was like, तू इतना बोल रही है, अच्छा नहीं होता, उसको ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए. He's like, क्या पता उसकी मम्मी बीमार हो, उसकी बहन को कुछ हो गया हो, शायद उसे ज़रूरत हो, तुमसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत हो. Then I was like, that's also a thing. And then I was like, ठीक है यार, मैं वापस कमा लूँगी, क्या होता है, शायद उसे सच में ज़रूरत थी, इसलिए उसने मेरा बैग ले लिया.
Okay, that theory I don't fully support because there are many other ways to earn money.
Yeah, I know, but just to make me feel better. And I was like crying and howling. Do you remember that I came to yours? पुलिस कंप्लेन करने गई थी, मैं रो रही थी. I was like, क्यों कोई मेरा बैग चुराएगा, मेरा नया बैग.
मैं तो अच्छी इंसान हूँ. Why do bad things happen to good people?
And I'm the kind of person who never carries cash. Okay.
Same.
Now I do. But that time there was Ganpati's first day Ganpati. I was like, मैंने बंडल रखा था कि 100 का लेके, there was a bundle, and I was like, मैं जहाँ भी जाऊँगी ना, मैं सब जगह पैसे डालूंगी आज. I was like, भगवान ने सीधा ही ले लिया, धीरे धीरे मत कर, एक ही बार में दे देता हूँ. But yeah, this has happened. But it was much safer to be in Bombay, and also because a lot of times me and my siblings were going everywhere together. My parents were going. We were not going because we are such a big family. We don't need more people. Yeah. So every time we are going out or anything, अभी बहुत hardly महीने में एक बार हम restaurant में खाने जाते थे. नहीं जा पाते थे.
Speaking of restaurants, say what you want about Delhi. The food is unbeatable. Yeah, I hate the place. I really hate the place. Yeah. I do not feel safe. Yeah. But bro, the food, I just still haven't gotten in this city. I feel like you guys just don't get the flavor.
Because see, that's another thing. But you have been brought up having that thing.
The chole bhature, the kachori.
The chole bhature that my mother makes is very different from the
chole bhature. The Sitaram Nagpal chole bhature is unbeatable. I was the biggest customer of Zomato Legends. I don't know why they shut it. They were clearly making so much money only for me. So I don't know why they shut it. I've honestly not found a correct answer to this, but okay, hear me out. I found Bombay to be a very matriarchal society where I've seen money being given into women's hands, where I've seen in families, mothers or wives have like the salary given to them to figure out what to do with the month, to deal with the house, to deal with the investments, to deal with what needs to be done. And I've seen this in
Bombay?
In Bombay, yes. Yeah. I've seen this with friends' parents.
Doesn't happen in Delhi?
No, let me get into that. So in Bombay, I've seen it very women that way are very proactive, and they've been given that much responsibility, and where the money lies, suddenly your respect and that angle also shifts for people, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen that in Bombay, even with my, for example, my staff, she is the person who works at my house is responsible for everything. Like what she wants to do with the house will be done with the house.
Yeah,
in
because
her
also
house.
she like, so even my mom was always a housewife. She's not done a job or anything. So my dad, whatever salary he made, was the whole thing given to my mother because she's the homemaker in the end. She's the one who's going to take care of the family.
That I did not grow up with.
Yeah, and my dad has given all the salary because he's like, तुझे ही तो घर संभालना है, तो तू देख ले. Types.
In Delhi, I found it to be very, I think Delhi is a very patriarchal society in general where, you know, men are kind of supposed to be doing these things and that is supposed to be done a certain way and it's meant to be done like that. And that's what I think. It's my opinion. Where I think that maybe is the difference because maybe then in Bombay people respect women more because their own mothers, their own sisters
It's also
have
because
gotten that respect.
She's the wife and she's the. I think I have grown up with that mentality.
Yeah.
Where also because my dad was like मेरी चार बेटियाँ like मेरी मम्मी भी बेटी है types कि उनको भी संभालना है उनको भी चीज़ें चाहिए type और वो हमेशा salary जो भी आनी है even the first salary that I got I gave it to my dad and he was like नहीं मम्मी को दे मम्मी घर संभालती है. So it's like that. It's so much respect, and we generally respect. Like we touch. Even my dad, like in the God that we believe. Even I touch my dad's feet, and my dad touches my feet. It's that kind of respect to give each other. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
If you're 70 or you're 60 or you're 10-year-old, when you touch each other's feet, that's how you give respect to each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
always that way.
Yeah.
So it's a very different life when I think about it.
Yeah. Delhi, Bombay are two like poles apart, and I feel like the children who grow up in Delhi versus the children who grow up in Bombay are just have grown up with different kinds of freedom, with different kinds of love, with different kinds of education and exposure to the world.
That's so true.
Also,
and
I mean,
even a part of Delhi where lower middle class to an upper middle class to a rich family, everyone has grown up in a different way. Like I have a lot of people in Delhi who come from a very rich family, have brought up in a very different way.
Very different way. Same.
And
now I have friends
people,
who are like South Delhi people versus me who grew up in Rohini.
And that I don't see, and the way, like no offense to anyone, but they have always gotten whatever they wanted, so they don't respect a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of, I'm saying not everyone.
And not everyone, of course.
Not everyone, but there are a lot of people who are like, मिल जाएगा यार हो जाएगा मिल जाए हमेशा मिला है उन्हें जो जिस पे हाथ रखा वो चीज मिल गई.
I grew up very envious of these modern schools and these Sanskriti schools and Vasant Valley school because all my life like I would have died to be in that kind of surrounding where there's like prom and it's like chill environment. I never had that. I grew up.
I would never want that. Like I love my life and I love the way things were for me.
Yeah, no, of course.
I feel like, I also feel like, sorry.
No.
I also feel like there's another pride in say, I've just got my parents a car. We never had a car all our lives.
That's great.
Like now, like 3 years ago, I bought a car for them. And after that, I got a car for me. But we did not have a car for the longest time. Yeah. So I'm saying a lot of friends of mine who had like a Maruti Suzuki. And then you work hard and you get a BMW. The pride that you have from moving from one space to another, it's a pride in itself. You feel so much more better.
Yeah.
अब अगर तुम BMW से Audi में जाते हो तो सेम ही लगता है. You'll be like okay ठीक है ये नहीं है तो ये मिल जाएगा.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was having this conversation with a friend back in the day when I had bought my first car, which was a Beamer. And no one in my family has ever bought a luxury car. Like the max someone would have had would be like a Honda something, you know, or an Innova. And when I got it, and firstly everyone thought I was mad and I should have invested that money.
Same.
And why am I wasting this money? Every car works the same.
Everyone in my family said the same thing. He's like, why do you want such a... I was like, I love getting out of that car. I love the pride that I feel. This is what I've worked for all my life. I wanted a better life for myself. It's okay. It's not like I don't invest money. I invest money. Because this is the life that I want to live. I want to live like this. I want to live in a great apartment. I want to wake up and feel this way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I say. I'd rather live a certain way than die a certain way. You know, I don't want to buy my dream car when I'm 50 or 60 and I'm feeling tired and my joints are hurting.
And that's what the society, you've been conditioned in a way where पैसे कमाओ क्योंकि तुम जब
rainy day.
जब तुम ओल्ड जाओगे तो कौन ध्यान रखेगा? आजकल के बच्चे ध्यान नहीं रखते हैं भाई, आजकल के बच्चे बहुत डिफरेंट है।
एंड किसी और को मतलब आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि सारे पैसे उड़ा दो, बट यू नो यू व्हाई वुड यू नॉट वांट टू एंजॉय लाइफ, स्पेशली लाइक यू सेड कमिंग फ्रॉम प्लेसेस वेयर यू डिडंट हैव ऑल ऑफ दिस. I want to travel the world now. I didn't grow up traveling, and I know you didn't either. My first ever trip abroad was when I went to Bangkok at the age of 18, when I went for an ad. I thought it was a Colgate ad and I was the lead, but it was a Colgate ad for Pakistan and I was the background girl standing behind. I don't think this ad is like I don't know if it's come out. I don't know if it's come out and I'm in it. I don't know where it went, but I have taken that job only because it would take me to Bangkok. I had a passport. It was never
the first
stamped.
time I went, I had a passport and my passport I used it after 6 years. Now it's renewed also. But the first time I traveled was for the Bata Fashion Weekend to Prague. That was the first trip I took, and they took me business class. The first trip I took. And
No, mine was eco. I went there. And then I was like, wow! It changed my world when I saw people living different way, traveling different way, eating different things, and I knew that
you don't know that something like this
exists. And I wanted to travel.
And it changes so many things in your life. Your perspective and how you look at life is so different when you travel. We've traveled so much now.
Yeah. And I want to do this all my life. Yeah.
Like we are here for a month and we are like, बहुत time हो गया ना travel नहीं, कहीं चलते. And Radhika and I are just like, nobody will ever say, if Radhika's like, I want to go out, I'll be like, चल चलते हैं.
Yeah.
If I want to go out, she'll be like, चल चलते हैं.
Yeah.
So it's always like that.
Yeah. And I think just those things, like now I can afford it and I appreciate it so much more.
And we acknowledge it and we are very, very grateful. And time and again we say that we are grateful.
Yeah.
And God did not take this away because we worked really
fucking hard. Yeah.
And I always say, like, I have been poor and I have been rich.
And I would choose rich every fucking time.
So I was like, no, because I have, and I do not want that for my family. I want everyone around me to be happy. I want everyone to like, just, anytime my parents are like, नहीं ये नहीं करते, I was like, मत आप करो.
Yeah.
Like, नहीं तू कैसे करेगी? I was like, पापा आपको नहीं, even right now I don't think they know the kind of life I live.
Yeah.
They don't know
I think they get a heart attack.
They don't know the cost of my bags. I tell them 25% of it because they still think that's a lot.
I know. I had this conversation with my mom when we were sitting at Swati Snacks, and she's asked me, she's like, how much is this Chanel bag for? And I was like, yes. And she's like, you're saying it's a lot, so 60,000 bucks? I was like, my cheapest bag doesn't cost 60,000 bucks. This is a Chanel.
And then we reached a point, do you want to say the cost? I think people know the cost.
Yeah, it was like 5.5 lakhs or 6 lakhs.
I was like, Auntie, yeah, that's very expensive. I would never get that. She's like, why don't you tell the cost of your
Chanel bag? Because it was more expensive than mine. And then Meghna's like, no, what Chanel? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just having those humble beginnings and having
And there was a little no joke that is going on. I would never trade that for anything.
For anything in the world.
I love that because you can talk to your family about anything, and we have always had that comfort of or also a lot of like we have the comfort of saying anything and everything, but you're also so scared ki Papa. And I love the fact that ab tak I'm like 30 and even right now I'm like, फिर पापा ने देख लिया तो बहुत डांट पड़ी है क्योंकि बचपन से ऐसे सिखाया गया है कि तुम गलत मत करो, अगर गलत करोगे तो पनिशमेंट मिलेगी one way or another. So I'm just like, पापा को पता चल गया तो क्या होगा?
And in my head, my mom's voice is just playing every day. And my mom, you know, is very like one of those saintly people who's like, you know, wakes up.
Right is right and wrong is wrong. There is no grey. It's all black and white.
So I think my mother's voice also in my ears just rings every time I am doing something, and I'm like, no.
She would not.
Mother
She would not be okay with it.
Yeah, and I think my mom doesn't know it, but it just like her voice just rings in my ears even now. And yeah, I think that's what childhood was like in like a very whatever broad.
But no, whatever it is, however we are, I love the way we've had a childhood, and we would never trade that for anything.
I would not trade it for anything in the world if it weren't for my mom.
And we are like, I am what I am and she is what she is because of the experiences that we had, because of the goods and the bads that we have. And I love that I would not be able to speak about it, and this is the first time ever I'm talking about it. And it just makes me proud. Like I wouldn't have spoken. You know, I told you in the last episode also, people don't talk about their hardships until they reach a point. Then they're okay with it and they're like, okay, now you can say whatever you want because I've worked really hard to be where I am.
Yeah.
So this was a fun topic to talk
Yeah,
about.
I know. This was, I mean, talking about my childhood and talking about the way I've been raised and the job that my parents have done. If it weren't for my mother's emotional intelligence, I don't think I would be this person.
Yeah,
If
1000%.
it weren't for my dad's practicality, I
Yeah,
don't think I would be
yeah,
this person. I
yeah.
feel like I've just somehow ended up right in the middle of where I wanted.
The combination of both.
Yeah.
And you've learned the things that you've learned.
You know, it's so funny because sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm like the perfect combination, and the other times I feel like I'm just, you know, I'm like, am I adopted? Because I'm so not like either of my parents as well. We've had so many experiences, and we've
So
been
many
open to
experiences.
kind of just
Yeah.
having those
Yeah.
experiences,
Yeah.
the good and the bad,
Yeah.
and whatever it is. And yeah, I think that is it
Yeah,
for
that is
today.
it. Yeah.
Thanks
Thank you
so much for
watching.
watching. I think this was my favorite episode.
Yeah,
to
even
shoot.
I think I'm very excited to edit this.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you.
Bye bye.
Bye.